he fell asleep at the wheel, and the impact pushed her head into the glove compartment. But he's a very brilliant guy, a very smart guy, and he wrote all kinds of this. He would say, you can throw the Bible in the fire. You don't need to go through anybody to talk to God. My brother and my sister in an orphanage, and my dad's gonna come get me. She said, they don't come back. And I said, yes, he is. And I forgot Betty, you forgot Betty, you forgot Betty. And he said, shut up and sit. I don't actually have any pictures of me as a kid. I mean, I started one looking like that, and I handed it to her, and I'm thinking, oh my God.
I laid there and moaned.
I didn't talk about my story till I was in my 40s, because every time I would start to talk, my body would like shake. So I picked up the phone and called the Baha'i in Rockville. It was Mr. and Mrs. Love. I'd always had the question, why are there so many religions? Then it was answered that in different stages of man's development, that God sent messengers, just like the unfolding chapters in a book, and that each chapter just built on the next chapter. It wasn't that it was this religion or this religion or this one. It was always this one and this one and this one. It was the only thing that made sense. I was like, oh my God, that makes sense. Because then I had to lose some of my prejudices. Because if my dad talked about Jewish people like they were evil, I could not be against Jewish people because they were people of Moses. I could be angry at the Christians that had done stuff. The ones that raised me, the ones that hurt my dad. I couldn't be, the ones that were standing out there with the white stuff on, being KKK members. Hate is just hate. And both cannot occupy the heart at the same time. I've tried. Whenever I'm very angry, it makes me sick physically. So I have to choose. And so I'm learning so much. It was like there was some part of my brain that opened up. I swear I became a smarter person. When you grow up and you are treated a certain way because you're black, my apartments, you're treated this way because you're poor, we're doing migrant work. You're treated this way because you're a female. You're treated this way because Eve in the Bible ate some apple. I mean, there were so many things that says you are nobody. I read this quote in one of the firesides, and it says, noble, I created thee. Oh my God. Noble, I created thee. Why dost thou abase thyself? I said, I'm noble? I mean, I know it might sound like, of course you are, but that was a new paradigm. That was like an aha moment. That was like the first time I'd ever heard from someone speaking on behalf of God that I, a dark, black, poor woman, was in God's eyes beautiful and noble. He says, know you why we created you all from the same dust, that no one should exalt himself over the other. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, there's only one human race. I mean, you hear that concept, but literally, it took a while for me to even believe it. Even though I'd become a Baha'i and stuff, I remember one of my sons brought home a white girlfriend, and I was like, oh. And he said, Mom, I mean, I'm nice to her because I'm nice to everybody. I'm cordial. I've learned to smile. And he says, Mom, you preach that stuff about Baha'i and one race and all that. He said, but do you realize that when I bring home a white girl, you treat them differently than you do the black girls? He says, Mom, you preach that stuff about one race and all that, but do you realize that when I bring home a white girl, you treat them differently than you do the black girls? If it's a black girl, hey, and you're this and that. He said, you're nice, but it's a different thing. And I said, really? Because you raise kids up in the Baha'i faith, they'll call you on your stuff. And I said, really? And then I had to think about it. And I realized that, these white girls had reminded me of the white girls I grew up with in upstate New York with their little whiny voices, those squeaky voices. It was just annoying. It was a trigger. And they were the ones, see, I told you there's only 3 black guys, 5 black families, 3 black guys, football players. The white guys didn't date the black girls. And the few black guys we had dated the white girls. So I didn't like that. And so there was probably a part of me that didn't like them. I mean, there were other reasons, all this other stuff, but that was just another one. And so he brought home people that reminded me of this, because I didn't go to the prom. I didn't go there because there weren't enough black guys to go around. And the ones that were there wanted to be white. And so they didn't, and being dark, I didn't grow up feeling pretty or being told I was pretty till I started modeling and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, then somehow I was different. Or maybe I started to see my own light at some point. I don't know what happened, but I didn't grow up because everything on television showed white people or light people. The only thing that was, to my credit, according to the old folks, I guess, was that I had my father's features. I didn't have the typical African features. I had the features that they could put on a magazine or something like that. But even that was saying, what if I did? I mean, I should be, no matter if my lips are big or my nose is broad or my, cheeks are round, I should be valuable because noble I created thee. Noble I created thee. Baha'u'llah says if two people argue about religion, both are wrong because it's all about unity. You remember my point at the end, what's going to trump, your hate or your love? What if you end up with people who hate just like you through eternity? Love begets love, and hate begets hate. What an interesting final accounting. Love or hate? The choice is yours. Just remember, someone else may be counting. And you may end up with people who love or hate just like you. And wouldn't that be the only fair thing to do? Think about your life now. Be honest with yourselves, confide. Are there some changes that you can make while time is still on your side? I learned that there are different stages that we're at after death based on how we live our life, but that for eternity, we go closer and closer to God. This whole concept of no clergy, now that worked for me because I hadn't had good, the clergy that I had been running to weren't that hot to me anyway. I figured, and my dad had always said, you can throw the Bible in the fire, talk to God yourself. So I had all of these messages coming together, and I realized I can talk to God. So you can imagine with my history, race, class, religion, all of this stuff, as well as, not being able to get jobs, not having opportunities, not being able to rent apartments. You want answers, you need answers. And I found the answers. I didn't find it right away, it's amazing. The answer came to me, but I didn't see the answer. And it took a while. People planted in my path saying, go, go, go. And finally, you know, I found the faith. As I said, I was going to these firesides. And then I learned, and all the different pieces of the puzzle finally came together. And I understood that it was my choice, that, you know, I didn't need clergy. I needed daily prayer.
Fill up for me the cup of detachment from all things, and in the assembly of thy splendors and bestowals, rejoice me with the wine of love in thee, of love in thee, love in thee, love in, of love in thee, love in thee, love in.
I think in every person's life, there comes a time when you have to look at what you've been taught, look at what you feel in your heart, and decide for yourself how you're going to worship the Almighty. It can't be because somebody tells you to do it. It can't be because that's where all your friends were. I lost a lot of friends by becoming Baha'i because they thought I was praying to some other God. And it's easy to not understand stuff if you're spoon-fed things and you don't have, you know. That's why I loved independent investigation of truth. The principles of the Baha'i faith literally transformed me because I realized that no matter what happened in my life before, that I was dear to God from birth. I was not, my color was an accidental climate. It was just like I'm wearing blue versus whatever. A polar bear and a grizzly bear don't argue over which bear is better. A brown dove and a white dove don't argue. Human beings with their conscious mind, the only creature that really has intellect, can be so stupid to think that because of a shade or a hue or an accent or a country of origin that some people deserve to live and to have things more than others.
Unite and bind together the hearts. Unite and bind together the hearts. Join the chord of the soul. Join the chord of the soul. Oh Lord, make these faces radiant through the light of thy oneness. Unite and bind.
I was checking people out, like, are you really believing? Are you really doing what you say? I remember when I needed to get a car and some Baha'is helped me get it. I'm thinking, wow, they trust me, they love me. I mean, after, you know, it took a while because you're going to find when you first teach people, they're skeptical, and for good reason. They've been put upon for so many years and taken advantage of. They don't trust because you say something. And when I saw doctors and lawyers and very professional people give up their careers to go pioneer, to just make sure that everybody gets the opportunity to know that God has walked the earth again and spoken through Baha'u'llah and left an example like Abdu'l-Baha and created an institution on Mount Carmel like the Universal House of Justice. So we don't have to, like past religions, we don't have to rely on, like the Bible, 260 years after Christ is gone, the Council in Nicaea, you got people coming together trying to put the stories together and try to put this. We have it in the pen, direct. And you know how people love, and I loved Christ. And I remember the person says, well, I said, well, how do I know this is true? And she said, ask Christ. I said, I can ask Christ? She said, yeah. So I prayed to Christ, is this the right thing? And then I felt this lightning. It was almost like there was a lightning, like a veil was being pulled from over my eyes, and I saw the world differently. I literally became a different person. I literally was born again, which I was trying to get with all those baptisms in Christianity, but it didn't stick or didn't whatever. I thought God didn't really want me because my sister started speaking in tongues and they were feeling stuff, but it didn't happen for me. And I wasn't gonna fake it. I was not gonna fake it before God. I was gonna be who I was. And even after I learned what it was, and I thought a manifestation of God has walked the earth during my lifetime. I still feel sometimes so unworthy that why did I get to know? I mean, out of all the people, I thought way more spiritual than me, why didn't they get to know? You know, perhaps my mother on the other side, you know? Who knows? I don't know. But then once you know, your job is to share. It's not that's one of the things I loved about the Baha'i faith. It wasn't about personal salvation. It was about universal salvation. You know, this whole concept of having one universal language so we can all speak to each other. All the questions I had, filling in all the holes, crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's. People have the principles, but they still have to master them. It's hard to get over hatred. It's hard to get over sexism. It's hard to get over violence if you've been spanking your kids. I started spanking my kids before I read you will pervert their character and totally vilify them. First two I spanked, but when I became a Baha'i and learned about this, you know, you don't do it, I stopped doing it. And I can see the difference in my children. See, you can't beat yourself, like Abdu'l-Baha says, you know, little bit by little bit, you know, let your morning be better than your evening better than your day. You don't beat yourself up. You just say, from today, I will be better. You take responsibility for your own spiritual development. You pray to God every single day, and you don't hurt anybody. Now, when I meet a Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist or Zoroastrian or whatever, I realize that these are the keepers of the book of one chapter that I don't know a lot about. They are my sisters and brothers, and I approach them with respect, open to learn what they have to contribute to the Book of God. So in 2012, I joined this organization, or maybe it was in 2011, the Capital Speakers Club. Going through the classes, and a lady came up and she said, you really need to be American mothers. And so she brought me to DC and introduced me to Anthony Williams. I don't know if Anthony Williams used to be the mayor of DC a few years back, and I was nominated for 2012 and was the American Mother of the Year. Back in the day, I had to go out in the field and I had to work from sunrise to sunset. Now I have a wonderful husband that just goes right outside and that feeds the healthy, because I don't like, everything has to be non-GMO, organic. So I don't eat soy and dairy and this and that. So I really have a very strict kind of, I don't call it a diet, it's just a way of living. You know, I want to keep my energy. And so this came out of the garden the other day, and these came out yesterday, and peppers and stuff like that. You got to think about it. If God is love, where does he go when you're hating? He doesn't hang around. So how much of your life is God-like, or is it selfish-like? If I want God in me, if God is love, then I have to be willing to let go of the pain, let go of my story, let go of all of that, and be the kind of person that when I come in contact with people, I make their lives better. If I'm so filled with anger and hatred and pain and all of this, all you do is hurt people. And hurt people continue to hurt other people. I don't want to hurt anybody else, and I don't want to hurt myself. And I've tried it. Sometimes I'll start thinking about my story and feel a little sad and gosh, you know, because I don't know any, people, you know, talk about their family lines. I don't know either of my grandparents on either side. Life kind of started with my dad. And I didn't even have a mom. So you can imagine I'm this young girl out there in the world trying to find my way when everybody's saying because you're black, because you're dark, because you're this, you're not anything. And you know, so, you know, I became a teen mom and I didn't know any better because You know, my dad had lots of wives. And of course, that was another thing that people wanted to look down on you. And I decided, no, I'm a queen. That's why I wear my hats. That's why I wear my crown. Because I was created noble. And I was abasing myself. So I got to stop abasing myself. And so I don't allow people to treat me anyway. I allow people to talk. Life is now on my terms. Most important thing is you got to make sure that you're making a difference in the world, because when you feel good, you smile, you're happy, and when you do that, that helps your health. So that's that.